Sorry,
right.
sorry guys, I'm late. I was riding a bike.
Jay Splits, y'all late. We are late.
And they know us so well.
Cody, they're in their break room chatting, chit chatting. We were deciding whether we want to talk about this topic or not. We had to get the go ahead from Harley.
Yeah, sorry, I was late. I was getting off my bike still.
Cody.
It's funny. I actually have a stationary like sprocket, like a pedal system underneath my desk. So I'm actually still pedaling right here.
Yeah,
He's in
always,
a bike.
always be pedaling.
Get them miles in.
All right. If you guys haven't noticed, Hydrate and Build 25-8 supplement, electrolytes, 2.5 grams of creatine, everything you need right when you wake up in the morning. Scan the QR code. We're not sponsored. We don't get any kickbacks. It's just delicious strawberry lemonade, electrolytes, and creatine.
And use code Sophia10 for
Do not
10%
be
off.
quiet. You're going in the background if you do that again. All right, I guess you guys can use Sophia 10. We don't have a code. We just really like the product. So there it is. 25-8. Thanks a lot, guys. It's delicious. Harley, have you gotten yours yet?
I have not.
Oh.
The reason I didn't was because I had just ordered G1M after all of your weeks of hazing me for not using it. And then like the week I order it,
that's a different thing though.
This stuff drops. No,
it does. Well, G1M does have electrolytes. So you're correct, but G1M is carbohydrate supplement.
The issue is I need the carbs on the bike, and I need something that I can mix in my bottles.
Is going to come out with more supplements. We just got to do a good job with this supplement. We got to help him out, help a boy out, so then we don't have to buy G1M support.
Yeah, for sure. I'm more than happy to, but I just stockpiled up 3 containers or whatever, so I have a couple months, and I'll put my order in there.
That's a lot of trust in Todd's.
It's good,
real
opinion. 3 containers.
What flavor did you get?
Fruit punch, and then something else. I'm working through fruit punch now. So
the oranges. I got the watermelon salt because they were out of orange one time. I don't like the watermelon one.
Really? Oh,
that might be what I ordered. So thanks for the raving review, Tyler. I'm really excited to try it now.
I like it. I like their Enduro. If you get the Enduro pump though, only get prickly pear. The other flavors
beta-alanine in it. Does it make you feel like a prickly pear?
Yeah. The other flavors are kind of whatever. The prickly pear is like the best. Just get that one. You won't get tired of it. I'm trying to convince 25-8 to also make a pre-workout. So like carbohydrates pre-workout. We're getting on the list, Oh, speaking of sprockets, our boy Nate Hall. Here we are. Dude. Okay.
Speaking of sprockets.
Because we're going to talk about the Echo Bike Challenge real quick.
Oh, gotcha.
Here we go. I like how I tied that up.
Speaking of
sprockets. All right, we're going to put Sophia in the back. Sophia, pull up the Echo Bike Challenge on Rogue. See if you can find it. The leaderboard. Anyways, I'm just here to fact check Todd. He said,
pull out a dictionary as well.
Yeah.
Make sure his grammar's on point.
Yeah.
Zing.
Okay, Harley, since you weren't privy to this, so on site, we had everybody do the Echo Bike 5-minute hammer challenge on the Echo Bike. And the homeboys, there it is. The homeboys, Jason Hopper, James Sprague, Dallin Pepper, supposedly they all did it interval style. So hard effort into, we got to pull Harley up here, we'll switch them out. Into like easy and then hard effort, easy, hard effort, easy. Whereas I rode the bike continual, maximum sustainable pace. My first question is, which approach gives you a better physical adaptation in the long term?
From a training standpoint?
Yeah, just which one?
What are you trying to develop?
That's a very good caveat. Just give me which one would be better for most people to build.
I mean, sustainable power for our sport is generally like the place to start, but it's also like undulating in intensity all the time too. Yeah. So I don't know. It just depends on what you want to build. So I don't have a good answer there.
Come on, just take a stance. No, so that was the point. I told him because Nate did the interval and he beat me by 5 calories, and I did 95 calories. He did 100, and I went sustainable. And I just told him, I was like, yeah, you beat me, but I still got a better training effect because I'm building out my ability to hold that RPM Well, not the RPM, the watts.
I mean, I still
Longer.
wouldn't call that a good training session though. It's 5 minutes. So
Okay, come on, dude. Come on. Stop picking
you're
apart.
not training anything. This is a competition.
Well, that's fair. I do
Define it
I do
appropriately.
I do concede to that it is a competition and you do want to try and get the best score. Okay,
That's my question. My question would be like, what's going to give you the best score because it's a competition?
Yeah. But if we took out the competition aspect, which one?
And you should probably do about 10 of those intervals of 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off.
10 to 20. Yeah. All right. Look at he's happy with you because you said as a competition. We already said. All right, now here's the next question. So on base level, though, you do agree that someone riding the bike at maximum sustainable effort is going to be better generally. Take out all caveats and like, okay. So there you go, Nate.
Building sustainable output and ability to sustain repeatable work is the goal.
Yeah, generally better than interval training.
And most people need to start there, as we've talked about in previous weeks.
Yeah. But yes, you can use interval training as a tool and you can use sustainable training as a tool, depending on what you're trying to build out. Okay, now my next thing is, why do most people, and I do it too, but why do most everybody look at their cadence or RPMs over watts? Like, why does that happen in CrossFit?
Because it's essentially a fixed rotation for the Echo bike specifically. For the C2 bike with an adjustable damper, that's where variance comes in. So for a fan bike, the watts, as we all kind of know, the higher the RPM, the more exponentially you're rewarded to a degree in sprinting. It's not exponentially, but it is a little bit faster.
Linear? Is it linear or is it exponential?
So it's not. So exponential would be like if it's doubling its output. It doesn't double its output, but I think that it goes like this. It's more like a power curve.
Exponential and linear.
So linear would be a 45-degree angle. It's not a 45-degree angle. I think it's truly a curved ramp. So it's not necessarily, but it's not exponential because it's not doubling itself over every time.
Yeah, it's linear. When you look at the
Is it linear?
Mm-hmm. RPMs is exponential, but what is RPM measuring? This is the biggest argument that Nate and I are having. Watts of count is linear, RPM is exponential, which I agree with. But what is RPM for?
Revolutions per minute. So it's the number of times that your feet and arms are
around. Yeah, the number.
Not the fans. It's it's your hands and pedals. Yeah. But my point is this: like they are correlated. They don't separate on that machine because there aren't gears and there's not a like have you seen cars that don't have gears? They basically have like as you accelerate, the RPMs go up. What?
Well, your bicycle, same thing with gears. The sprocket size.
No, I understand that, but like there's technology where you don't have to shift gears, but the sprocket size changes. So like as you accelerate, the belt gets pulled down. The I don't know what the part is called because it's not a sprocket. But anyways, you can essentially get the same effect of shifting gears, but without actually having to shift gears. And that's why a lot of cars don't have gears anymore, is because they've created a different transmission system to alleviate the need to shift. But my point is
the RPMs do what?
They stay the same.
Yeah. But the power, what?
No, I'm pretty sure on the Echo bike, the power is directly correlated to the RPMs.
It's not. That was the argument we had. No. Yeah, sure. You spin the fan. The fan is fixed, right? It's a fixed diameter. You spin that fan around a number of times. If I made a fan smaller and applied the same wattage, my RPMs would go higher because my fan is spinning around more times because it's smaller. The distance it takes, the time it takes and the distance to go around in a circle becomes less because I made the fan smaller. But the wattage is what controls. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how is the fan changing size? I missed
it's not. It's not. I'm just explaining how this works on the bike itself and gears and everything else and how RPM is actually not indicative of how much power you're actually putting out on the bike. And people just get it confused. What we should be looking at.
So it's not indicative if there are gears and you're changing the size of the sprocket. But that's where I think the Echo bike is confusing because there aren't gears. It's a fixed resistance across. So therefore, like it should be relatively 1-to-1. Like that's why we know that if you hold 72 RPMs, you're going to get about 20 calories a minute average if you can perfectly average that, or 65 is 15. So it's like, but for every 7, is it another 5?
Nate put out the thing. It's basically linear. When he sent me a graph and I was like, it is a linear. It's not exponential. So like when you go certain watts and certain RPMs, it's basically like on the graph, it's like 0.1, 0.11, 0.112, 0.1, like, and it just grows. So like if you were to plot all of those points, the graph is perfectly straight. Yeah, see chatbot GPT. Here we go. They're related, but not directly interchangeable. That's what I'm talking about. RPM is a measure of the cadence and the watts representing the power output, which is influenced by RPM and resistance, which is the point of it all. It's like, you're not going to change. My point is to change people's mindset around this whole thing, is because you're not going to change the diameter of the fan, Harley. Like, you're correct. I agree with that. But if you did change the diameter of the fan, the power to turn it that many times would change. If you make this fan smaller, you need less power to get it to go around. So the power would drop if the fan was smaller to go around 72 RPMs. So the 72 RPMs would stay constant when the fan drops, and the watts would drop just by changing the fan. If you made the fan bigger,
yes, I agree. That's what I've been saying. Yes.
No, I understand that, but that's what I'm trying to get everybody who's listening to, and even Nate, what we were arguing about, to wrap their fucking brains around, because you're having a sticking point, because the fan is still, and yes, they are like, okay, I'm at this cadence, I'm at this watts. What I'm saying, if you understand how racing and cycling works, fitness works, other areas that you don't have a fixed fan, you're going to want to use watts more to understand what you're doing.
Yeah. So I think understanding context though, right, is important as well. So like, that's why I was like, oh, if you're on a bike that has a, adjustable resistance or adjustable gears, such as C2 bike, et cetera, I use watts completely for that. But if I'm on an Echo bike, I use RPM.
Still use watts.
What?
You should still use watts.
No, but listen to this. I specifically use RPM because, well, they're not 1-to-1 for another reason too, which has not been discussed yet. Right. So RPM, I use it because I know basically the chart in my head that is 65 is 15, 72 is 20, and then if I hold whatever, like 90 plus, it's going to be like really.
Instagram.
No, it's because I've been convinced by my experience of like, I just know my gears and what I should be striving for.
I was saying the chart
of pacing. No, I mean, but the chart in my head, I'm saying I'm creating this chart in my mind because through experience and knowing rate of travel and like trying to learn how fast I can go in certain settings.
Mm.
So here's where the watts on the Echo bike doesn't correlate to watts anywhere else cycling, is that because you are using your arms and your legs, you're producing more power than using just your legs. So what's interesting is like, if you look at the watts on a C2 bike or even a cycle, like a normal bike, the watts you're putting out are substantially lower on a C2 bike or regular bike, because my assumption is because you're using your arms on the Echo bike, and or there's greater resistance with the fan size and blade width. So if you like look at like what I can hold on an FTP test on a normal bike compared to what I can hold on an Echo bike, the Echo bike's always going to be more watts because of the difference of size of the fan blades, etc., and resistance. I assume also because I'm using my arms too. But so it's like, why would you use watts on a single modality machine that doesn't translate to other stuff? That's my question to you.
I mean, it does.
I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Like, watts is a unit of measurement of power, sure. But like, it doesn't necessarily like knowing what my watts are on an Echo bike doesn't help me cycling. It doesn't actually help me rowing. It doesn't do anything because it's not 1-to-1 with the other machines.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, but it helps you understand like the actual bike itself. Because saying, hey, I ride the bike at 90 RPM means that every minute you turn the fan around 90 times. That literally means nothing. Like, and that's my gripe, is like the whole CrossFit community is like, what was your RPM? What was your cadence on the bike? It's like, but no one ever asks what the watts are, which is the more appropriate question, is like where my gripe is.
I think it's just perspective. I don't think it's necessarily appropriate. I think as long as you understand what you're like looking for. So like Nate just said, RPM to calories isn't linear. 90 RPMs is 39 calories a minute. So in my mind, it's like if I'm trying to sprint, I'm trying to stay above 90 calories or 90 RPMs.
Right, but you
If
could
I'm
also
trying
say,
if I'm trying to sustain, I just look at it as in I'm doing 65 to 70, and I know I'm going to be somewhere between 15 to 18 calories a minute, and that's my gear.
but do you
So it
see how
just
that's
depends on
just
what you
your-
like to look at. What?
Yeah, but that's just like your perception because that's what you've been told.
No, that's what I've
Is the road- 'cause
experienced.
when you just
I
look
also find it easier to look at a smaller 2-digit number that doesn't vary as much. Because like,
Tyler, jump in here.
go ahead, Tyler.
I think you guys are just splitting hairs. I think
That's
if you look at the
my
same
opinion
thing
too.
every time,
What we're talking about,
then
we're-
it doesn't matter.
It
I
matters.
think it doesn't matter at all.
This is the charts I was talking about. This is the internet is littered with these.
Yeah,
This
those
is what
charts
gets,
suck.
this is what gets my exactly. So this is
Yeah.
what gets my goat about everything. It's like you just go Rogue Echo Bike chart, and there are hundreds of thousands of charts. And when competitions comes up, everybody throws up these charts, and people are like, "Oh my god, it's the answer to it all." And it's just like it irritates the f out of me. That's
It's
really
not the answer to it all. It's as long
That's
as
how
you
people
understand what your output is, that's the answer. The
Yeah.
answer is self-awareness and gaining experience on the machine.
Yeah, I just also want people to understand that like RPM is not a production of power or
not.
a measurement of power. It's how many times the fan went around in 1 minute. So
Correct.
to be correct, you would talk in watts. You just sound dumb when you talk about RPMs, is my argument. Like to me, when you talk to me about RPMs, I'm like, oh, you don't understand wattage or power or how this even works, really. You're just talking in RPMs because every CrossFitter on the face of the earth has always done this because they've been convinced by Ben Bergeron.
I think it's just all again
Heather's
about
laughing 'cause she knows
awareness.
it's true. The Ben Bergeron comment got her.
Yeah. I just think it's about awareness, right? Like I truly believe it's just whatever is easier for the person in the moment to wrap their head around without adding
Right.
stress or cognitive like strain.
No, Harley, we want to educate people. We can't walk around this world dumb. Half of our coaching job is to make sure people become smarter. I'm going to stick my flag in the ground. Look at Team Harley. See, Nate, you just want to stay dumb. I got it.
Team Harley, sick.
Hashtag Team Harley.
I have the numbers guy on my side.
I don't
Fuck
know.
it.
I
Let's
just-
go.
Yeah, there you go. I just, I don't know. It just rubs me when people are saying that. I want people to like know the watts and get better at it and understand.
Yeah,
And
Marissa's points like big here.
Yeah.
Yeah, pull up Marissa's. Yeah, it's more accurate to gain awareness. It's like head in the right direction. No, different one. Go down.
Hold on. You get just read this one first. We'll read all of them. She's got like 3 up here. Let's see. I don't even know what this one's about. But anyways, which one? This one?
Yeah, it's not a matter of being dumb. It's just asking someone to gain more awareness. Like step
Right.
1 is gaining awareness. Step 2 is gaining consistency, confidence, and understanding what you're doing. Yeah, looking at the same. Yeah, consistency. Cool. I didn't even see that, but that's perfect because that's where I was going.
You don't even know the monitor turns on. That's
There's
probably-
numbers on that thing.
I don't know. I was just writing it.
I just got off when everyone else did.
I don't know. Step 3. Let's see what step 3 is. What does she say? Even having enough fitness to keep focus on the pace.
For sure.
Single modality intervals, then in mixed work. Yeah.
Agreed.
I just think like most people just shifting away from it. And like the watts is you can make it more like, okay, there is a difference. Like, what is it? I was looking at it today and I was writing and I was like, oh yeah, you don't even like your wattage output. So the reason for this is because Watt Science, he put out the wattage output that people are putting out in workouts because now they're measuring that. So that wattage production is relative to your overall fitness production and what you need to achieve and how you need to grow in your fitness to become better at CrossFit. So if you just understand wattage and we look at like legs and arms on the Echo Bike, if you know that 25.1 based on his wattage output machine that they're using required an athlete to sustain a wattage of 289 watts for 15 minutes, then you can start training on an Echo Bike without doing mixed modal work because you don't know what wattage that is unless you buy that piece of equipment and start training that way to develop the fitness to get one of these world-class scores that they were now tested in. Whereas if you're looking at RPMs, you're not getting any of that information. So like as more information comes, like even Renata used chatbot to Google that stuff. Like I think that's the issue I have too, is like bigger picture. You're trying to get 1% better or even 10% better. Why would
I
you
have a
use
question for
something?
you. This is just a devil's advocate thing. You're trying to get 10% better, all this stuff. If you're a high level, how many high level athletes actually know the science behind what's going on?
Yeah, but we're coaches, so we should.
No, I know,
that's what we say
but
about this.
you're
They
talking
don't.
about
They don't.
telling an athlete to look at watts and then trying
Yeah.
to educate them on that. But it's like they're educating coaches and understanding like what the rhyme, reason, and mechanism behind like what we're training and why we're doing it. Like that's one thing. But I think like trying to go down this rabbit hole with athletes may just be like creating paralysis by analysis. And it's like,
Yeah, but
like I said through like the
someone told me
dumb
because James won the games, he's correct.
my dumb answer was I like to look at little number that change less. Like
Yeah.
that's why I like RPM, is like because I know it's going to deviate by. I only have to keep it above the 7. I need the 7, and then whatever numbers after that, and I'm fine. But
Right.
like,
How much power does that take to do that? When like even Marissa's right, the step of
it's step 10. Yeah, like you have to be so far down the rabbit hole. Like,
yeah, but changing 1 watt, do you know, or changing 1 RPM, do you know how many watts it takes?
I don't have it off the top of my head. No.
It's about 80.
Yeah, I was gonna say 100.
But
My
80
gut's like 100.
Around
yeah.
80 watts a minute.
Or RPM.
But-
Yeah.
No, to move 1 RPM. Like that's a lot of wattage.
Yeah.
And so like so when we talk about like narrowing it down for and improving someone's fitness, like these athletes would be much better if they were looking at wattage and not RPM.
Yeah. I think that the interesting part of that is like if it is 80 watts, right?
It's around,
and again,
it's around.
yeah, like going back to the correlation the difference, the lack of correlation of like a stationary bike using only legs versus a whole body experience, echo bike watts, and having them not be linear. Like I think that 80 watts on an echo bike is actually more negligible. It's not exactly negligible. I mean, sorry, it's not like it is meaningful, but it's not.
You're saying it's easier to produce that wattage on a bike than echo bike than it is on a road bike.
Yeah, like if you change 80 watts on a road bike, you just change 25% of your output. And we just said you change 1 RPM, you're changing nearly 80 watts. Like that's arguably negligible, right? That's sort of my point. So I got lost and tongue tied there in the middle.
I'd have to look at it on the like cycling, if it is or isn't negligible.
I mean, my only like relevance is that if I'm talking about
80 to 20 watts. Heather, go test it. Run out there, go test it.
8 to 20. Yeah, that sounds much more realistic because like I'm like 80 watts is a huge margin in normal cycling, right? Like you're changing, if I'm going from like 150 to 230 watts, like 230 is my sweet spot. So that means it's 90% of my FTP. 150 is my recovery ride. Like that's a huge margin, right?
Yeah, but
like I held what?
That sounds about right, though.
But
like
going one RPM is what I'm saying.
Give me the math again.
Give you what I just said.
Yeah, on your bike.
So sweet spot, roughly 90% of my FTP is 230.
Okay.
And then 150 is like, well, I'm trying to stay 85 plus RPM the whole time.
Okay. All right. And then what's the recovery ride?
The recovery was 150 watts.
And still at 80 RPM, right?
85 to 90 RPM, yeah.
Yeah. So like, there's the problem right there. Because like when you're running down the road, same thing, cadence. So like when you go for a run, what do runners need to run at so they don't get injuries and they run soundly? What's the range? steps
roughly,
per minute.
160 steps per minute.
Right. So no matter whether they run a 7-minute mile or a 10-minute mile, what is the goal for steps per minute?
It's the same. That's
Right.
where that's
so-
a whole conversation about gearing, right?
Right. But that's what I mean. It's the watts is what matters. The RPM is just basically your point. Like it's just something to focus on as an athlete. But it's the wrong thing to focus on.
But it's the machine is different because there aren't gears. That's my point.
But in the total picture of fitness, wattage is what matters.
Output matters. I agree. For this one machine, it's not directly correlated because you can't change the resistance on the Echo Bike. If you could adjust the gear to achieve the specific RPM that you wanted to, yes, then watts are always king.
Because the basic
for this one machine, it's not.
So because the one machine you can't change, you just throw out.
No, because
how that
you
works?
understand. No, because you understand that your fitness can only support the output it can put out at that resistance.
Right.
So like the resistance of an Echo Bike at 50 RPMs, whether it's a big guy, a little girl, is essentially similar, right?
Mhm.
The loading muscularly. So it's like, it doesn't like matter. Like it matters the output that you can hold for the sake of playing the game. Like, and the sake of training that machine.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But like looking at watts as like this overarching thing, yes, it is power output. I agree with that completely. It's a measure of output, but the erg that you're utilizing that measurement for varies based on the machine. So therefore you have to look at them respectively.
That's why I would argue
the
no.
same way that you would have to test your heart rate zones for running versus swimming versus cycling versus everything to find your specific heart rate zones, because it's essentially the same thing, is that different machines place different demands and reward you differently based on the amount of musculature, resistance of gravity, locomotion, etc.
But still all measured in watts.
I agree. The unit doesn't change, but the expression of the unit does.
But it does on the Echo Bike, is your argument.
No, it doesn't. I said the ability to express the unit changes because you don't have gears.
So then it doesn't matter. You just look at RPM. Even though now the next question is, why is watts in the center of the monitor?
Because it's the most accurate measurement of power, period.
Exactly.
Because it's the most finite. That's like going down to the 100th or 1,000th of a decimal.
In the middle, because it's the most important. And it gets overlooked.
It is important. Yes, I'm not saying it's not important. I don't understand why.
Kind of saying the same thing.
I agree.
My point is, I just want people to shift over to using watts, and everyone's so against it. That's really what it is.
I'm really not against it. If you would like to look at it, but I like little number.
I like little number. Anyways, we'll get off that topic because the point has been made. Watts is what matters, but yet people want to just look at their RPMs because whatever reason. And people don't want to believe it. I know the reason why. And like Heather laughed about it. It's because you see
I got 2 votes from Nate, so I'm still winning.
You guys both want to look at little numbers. I got it. Let's see what Cody has to say. Ladies and gentlemen, 25-8 does replenish brain cells after a couple swigs of the hydration and blue while listening to Wise and Watts. Great. That's a good plug. Dude,
I think I got more stupid throughout that conversation.
No, I think you're arguing a good point, and that's why I'm so stuck on it, is because what you're arguing is what most people want to argue, is because they just want to look at the RPM because it's the smaller number. It's what everybody talks about. It's become nomenclature in CrossFit to that's what's indicative to the bike and what you're riding at, and everyone talks about it. When in reality, when you start diving deeper into the bike, and even if you go on Rogue and then you ask Rogue, they're going to tell you to use watts. But hey, what do I know?
You know what makes me mad now that I've been training on my trainer all winter? Cody, this one's for you. I ride bikes so much. So now that I'm on my actual bike outside on the computer, I don't have power meters on my pedals, so I
Oh,
don't get my watts, and it's really bugging me. But they cost like $600, so I don't really want those that bad. I'll use heart rate.
your bike's probably old.
My what? My mountain bike?
Yeah, do you have an electronic shifter?
Yeah.
It should be built in.
Mm-mm.
How old's your mountain bike?
A year.
That's weird. Because ours are built into our gravel bikes. Like I
That's
can
nice.
use it on my phone. It'll tell me.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell me none of that.
Good story.
Sick. Anyways, all right. Anybody got anything else to talk about?
Wait, I have one quick question though about this watts and RPM
Oh, I
thing.
love it.
When you did your Echo Bike or the Rogue Challenge, circling it back, what you were talking about? What was your sustainable pace? What were you actually riding at? Because I could have sworn you got off the bike and told me RPMs that you were holding.
No, it was 420 watts average.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sitting right next to
400 is about 72.
E plus the whole time. I thought that's what you said to me.
Look at Harley knows in his little graph in his mind, his little numbers.
400 is about 72. What's up?
Is it? Yeah, it is, huh?
Because it's 20 cals a
Oh.
minute. You said you got 100.
Because I feel
'Cause
like sometimes when you're training, you are using
578.
RPM too. That's all. That's the only reason why I'm saying that.
Throwing it out there. You said you got 100 calories in 5 minutes. That's 20 calories a minute. That's a 72 average, aka about 400 watts.
This is actually a really good question. I did tell him I was holding 19 cows a minute because I divided my total cows by 5 minutes. But that's actually a good question. Like, since you're starting training and people want to get better at training, do you think reps per minute or like cows per minute?
For sure. And understand the correlation, for sure. That's like understanding how many burpees a minute you can do. If you don't know what that is, huge problem there.
Mhm.
But what about the watts?
How many watts are you holding on your burpees?
You're actually ever
Watt
monitoring
science-
that much.
watt
It's
science
funny
has-
though.
Dude,
I feel like you've written programs for me when I'm on the Echo Bike, and you're
Because-
like, "Hey, hold this RPM."
yeah, because to Harley's point, people they like small numbers.
I'm just saying.
I like little number.
Yeah. Problem is, like, here's the other thing too. If you're trying to figure out someone's like actual power, like in fitness level within the cycling community and what the numbers they've used, if you're always using RPM, you don't really know
Yeah.
like
You're not wrong.
What it
You're-
is.
You're right.
like that's why it's kilowatts per kg. So like if you're not looking at those things, and I'm like, hey, how many watts can you hold for 20 minutes? Which is crazy too, because people will do the bike erg, and I know Nate's done this, and he tells me how many watts he's held for 20 minutes. But it's like, bro, you're on the same damper every time, I'm sure, when you ride the bike erg, because very few people change the damper, even though I give programs where like you're changing the damper. But like, you tell me watts for that. You don't tell me your RPM. I was at 80 RPM on the, even though you don't change the damper. Like, how many people come in the chat? You change your damper when you're riding the bike erg regularly? Oh, Harley does. Not before you were a cyclist. When you were a CrossFitter, did you change the
I
damper?
did. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Hey,
But I've been training FTP progressions on C2 bikes for like 4 years. So
hey, I keep it
what,
at
maybe 3 years.
3, dude. That's it.
Yeah, I train at 5. No, because it rewards you. Like if you can build your muscular endurance to hold an acceptable RPM, so
Yeah, why
85
is that?
plus.
Oh, yeah. Why is that? Why is that? What's happening when you're holding an RPM of 85 plus and you're on a damper 5? What's happening?
You're
What are you
producing more
doing?
power.
Yeah, you're increasing your wattage per revolution. Amazing.
Well,
See,
well,
this is
my
why
point
we
is,
have-
but
this
if
is
you
why-
only ever train at 3, like to you, right?
Sure.
You're just like, oh, I ride at 3.
Listen,
It's
listen,
like great, but if you can hold 90 RPM at 3, then the only way to produce more power is either spin at 100, which is really uncomfortable for 99% of people, or you bump
Unless you're
that
super-
damper up. What?
Unless you're really aerobic.
Well, what's actually interesting is I find it harder. I could almost never hold over 100 RPM on the C2 bike because the bike doesn't move. So like the lack of movement and little wobbles, it actually made it harder for me to turn over, and my feet stick to those pedals a little bit better because there's no play like this. So it actually like was really harder. It was a lot harder for me to reach 95 plus RPM on a C2 bike, but I can do 105 RPM on my stationary bike if I'm at a light enough watt, like fairly easily.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, and you know this now because you've ridden a stationary bike. Like the machines, the erg machines, are nowhere near the same as this trainer bike or doing a Wingate test. Like you're not going to.
What's really interesting. So I think my all-time best C2 FTP score was like, I held like 260 something for 20 minutes, right? So, you know, my FTP would be 90% of that. But on my initial ramp test for the stationary bike, the trainer, I was at like 220. So that's a pretty big difference.
Do you think you're more? It's a big difference. That wasn't very much. You
Dude,
sound like
we're talking about over 20%. You put 20% on your back squat. Tell me that's not a big difference, dude.
260 to
260 to 80. Yeah. 280 or 260?
No, about 260 to 220.
And then you had 220 on the bike?
Yeah.
I mean, how much is it now?
Now I'm at 271 on the bike.
It's 15%.
Interesting.
It's what?
Why do you think that was?
15%.
Yeah. Why do I think that was?
Mhm.
I think that the ergs are different. So watts aren't created equal, going back to our initial conversation. The erg and the unit, the tool that you are using to measure the watts dictate to some degree the watts that you can put out.
All right. So just so we're clear, you want to measure how many times the fan goes around in a minute over power output. That's what we're, just so we're clear. And then I'll drop it. That's
no, you have to understand the correlation of RPM to your power output and how it affects you as the athlete.
All right. So you care about how many times it goes around in a minute. Got it. Merry-go-round. I got it.
Moving on.
I know. We got nothing else to talk about. Let's just keep going. This is fun.
We're at 37 minutes of talking about RPMs versus watts, dude. We can move on.
Because it got under my skin. It really bothers me that like that's the.
I don't know why it does. That's a weird argument to like hold on to, honestly.
Yeah, because it's just a unit of measure. It just bothers me a lot. It's just like just use the watts. Like we can. It's okay, people. Just use watts. It's correct. But
dude, Cody, exactly. You didn't do shuttle runs of clean jerks. You did 283 watts. That's what you did.
Well, what's cool is the watt science thing that they're doing will be able to tell him that.
I mean, it's a cool concept.
I think it's yeah, but like think about this, like you
Beyond the Whiteboard's been trying to do that for a while now, haven't they?
Yeah, but they didn't create the physical technology to measure that.
No,
stuff.
but they're just like estimating average rate of travel distances and then giving you a power output accordingly, right?
Yeah. But like to the main point of all of this stuff is that it does matter your power output because that's what you're trying to train. You're trying to increase your sustained power output or a power output in a given thing, like you're talking about with the ergs and everything else. So like using watts is just a more finite way to figure that out. And like with now the watt science stuff, you could figure out like, okay, you could take a couple of athletes and let's say Cody jokingly does put out 283 watts on that workout. And then you have Harley who puts out 200 and like, or 305 watts on that workout.
Doing that.
Just saying, just play with the analogy here. Like you now know that Harley has a greater fitness capacity.
Wait. How about this? I just beat him via time and seconds, minutes and seconds faster.
I understand where you're going with this. I'm just saying that like, if you get enough of that data, now my question is, could you train just power and energy system work like on the ergs?
If it's a 12-minute time domain, what happens if you just train a progression on energy system training on ergs for a 12-minute pace?
That's what I'm saying.
11-minute pace.
This science could prove that to be correct, and we could all
without worrying about watts at all, and you're just focusing on general output and rate of travel. I know that watts is the measurement for output, but like, what if you just looked at time? What if
'Cause-
you just looked at time?
Oh my god.
I know time is a directly involved in the power equation. I understand that, but
Yeah.
like
You're gonna get me upset here.
your face is turning red, and it's very
I
funny.
just was gonna say, I was like,
Dude, his face is so red right now.
Anyways,
well, now he's just trying to get under your skin.
no, I don't. I know I've
How about
seeked-
this one for
I know.
OPEX? You just train 3 to 4 minute intervals at your 12-minute pace, repeatedly resting 1 to 1 or half to 1, and rip it. Just fucking hold that pace, dude. What is that like? Map 2, 3?
Yeah, I mean you get fitter, but you get burnt out.
Dude, you just do map 3 all day.
I mean, how hard are the sessions on the bike that you do that are high, like above threshold, like VO2 max sessions?
How hard are they?
Yeah,
They're challenging.
so nonchalant.
I
Yeah,
groan and moan, and CJ can hear me from upstairs, and I'm in the
so-
basement.
so challenging,
So hard. Yeah.
really hard.
I'm like, what?
What's your opinion on all this?
TMI.
What's my opinion?
No, Tyler, what's your opinion?
Tyler, what's your opinion?
I think that if you have the ability to change gears, it matters. If you don't, it doesn't matter what you look at, just as long as you stick with it the entire every time you train. But it's
I
true.
won Tyler over.
No, it's
Well, now
I-
when you change gears, effectively you're trying to change gears to keep what constant?
your power, but that's what I'm saying. Like even on like the damper.
But what typically keeps?
So like if you can change your damper, so you can change your power output regardless of your RPM. Right? You can't do that on an Echo bike. That's the whole thing, is like the Echo bike sits by itself in this entire argument. Everything else has wattage. You can change things to change the wattage.
We're still arguing it.
Yeah, Nate, you stepped away. You didn't miss anything.
We're
It's
still
been
getting-
cyclical for 42 minutes straight.
No, I just find that interesting because, like, when again the running example or the cycling example, like optimal is 160, 180 steps per minute, which is effectively is revolutions per minute, same thing. And then when you're cycling, it's about 80 to 100 revolutions per minute, depending on what you're doing.
Well, if you think about that, it's like a step is a half a revolution. So 160 is
Well, yeah, okay.
80 RPM. So like they're almost exactly linear. Or sorry, exactly.
Well, same, yeah, similar. But like that's my point. Is like, so changing gears, or speeding up or slowing down in a run is power output. You didn't change the revolutions at all. So like, and that's what I mean by like changing the damper and stuff. Like you're just trying to sustain the power output some way somehow.
But
And-
wouldn't you?
And keep the revolutions correct enough in what they found as the gold standard of the revolutions per minute.
But even on like running, so if you're running hard, are you not striding longer than if you're running easy?
You can.
So wouldn't that be like the damper?
running-
Not necessarily a damper, but like it's changing an effect on your power output. So you're pushing further, you're
Yeah, but the thing
stepping
is,
longer.
Like optimal running and run coaching would
Well,
be
yeah.
180. So like you're not going to go beyond 180 steps per minute.
But like if you and me,
You could still run at 180 steps per minute, but run slow and run fast. Does that make
right? But
sense?
if you and me both did 180 steps per minute running, you're
Mhm.
going to go further because your legs are longer than mine. So the steps are the
Maybe-
same.
Maybe not. Actually, oddly you say that because Cece and I looked at stride length from the
Mhm.
Garmin's, and my stride length is exactly the same as her stride length, and she's
Really?
like half the size. Yeah, when you are at the same steps per minute, and I don't really. My assumption would be the reason why is because you're just moving your feet.
hmm
So like your stride length will accommodate the step cadence. I'm assuming. I
Yeah.
don't know. I have to like really look into that. But that's where I get hung up. Like that's why I'm arguing with you guys, because I'm hung up on the fact that like RPM is just a count per minute. Similarly, like Cody was saying about 18 calories per minute or one like rep per minute or whatever it is just a count. It's not anything more than that. So that's where I like.
I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that.
I know. So that's why I say we just look at the watts and call it a
Oh.
day.
So you should just take a piece of tape
Yeah,
and
there
then
we go.
put it over the RPM
Yeah,
on all your bikes.
cover it up. You don't need it.
Have
Sharpie
you
it.
consider just taking a piece of tape,
See what it said.
Todd, and put it over your mouth?
Todd just doesn't like. Yeah, that was a good one. Breathe through my nose more. And communicate RPMs on Echo Bike versus tracking watts, which is universal among all machine/work. Yeah, I just want it to be more precise. That's all. Whatever. Just ride the bike at 80 RPM on the Echo Bike, and you're doing a good job, you know. And if you're a female, try to get to 70, because that's what everyone's trying to do. Harley, when you were riding the Echo Bike a lot, what was where would you ride it at?
I suck, so like 72 the whole time.
I really don't know anybody who like is upwards of beyond like 500 watts. a
Yeah,
minute.
I mean, like really, the one of the best Echo Bike people I've seen in person, like two of them in mind that are
Isn't
here
that guy who won
here
the
in
thing?
Denver.
I came in? Yeah.
Yeah, so one of them, Luke, he won the 5-minute AMRAP challenge, or sorry, he took third. He's taken top 3 in both the Rogue challenges. The 50 cal for time, he did it in 22 seconds, got third, and then he got third in the 5-minute one last year as well. He held 30 calories a minute.
That's
He's
like what Jason
about
Hopper did,
7
yeah.
foot tall
Wait, how
and
long did he
weighs-
hold the 30 cals again?
for the 5-minute test.
Oh, that's like what Hopper did.
Yeah, except for he did it sustainably.
Yeah, which I think is
which
more
pretty
impressive.
dang cool. And
Versus-
anyways, he's like 7'1", weighs like 230 or something. I don't know, 270. I don't know. He's not 230. He's like 270. He's a big boy. But then Jeff is the coach here at DTC. Whenever I did a very, very brief stint of riding programming for him, he did a 20-minute max cal on the Echo Bike, and he held 72 for the entire thing. His score was 404 calories in 20 minutes. And
It's really
so
good.
pretty good, pretty dang cool. So like generally, like
I just want to hold like 500 watts for 10 minutes. That'd be great.
yeah, like a truly sustainable, like Brandon Dorman, I think he held a 200 calorie 10-minute assault bike test twice with a 5-minute break, which is also pretty dang crazy. So those are like the top scores that I've heard from like non-games level athletes that are pretty dang impressive. But really much more than that, you don't see very often.
I like this comment from Cody. This actually is funny. Even though he's joking, can the semifinal leaderboard be scored in watts and P score for the most precision? Even though that's a joke, it would be the most precise.
It's a joke because he knows how much that would make you happy.
Yeah, because it would be like
It
your
lights you
fitness,
up.
your fitness is this fit. That's why I love the P score. Also, I'm glad you brought that up. It's one of the best. I'm sure there could be a better way, but like right now, it's the best way to judge people's fitness, and they should be doing it, but they don't.
What is your Fran Watt?
I don't know. Wad Science can figure that out, though. Cody, that's good. Look at this. Look at this guy. See, 70 RPM. Got it. Yeah, you can't do that, so don't even worry about it. All right. Well, I'm glad we spent a whole day talking about that, though.
Everyone's very thrilled.
I'm
about
not.
I know. We wasted. We just delete this episode.
Never again.
I just won't even bring it up. I get it. Everyone's against me. Nobody wants to see the value of watts and why it actually matters and why RPM is just a sham, and everybody said it. But I get why you guys use it. I understand, but I'm just
You
saying.
guys, you use it too.
How about this one? Kill Taylor's going to be a partner workout this week.
Really? With who?
Yeah.
Who's his partner?
JR Howell.
Oh, that's a good
Mm.
pairing.
That's a good pairing. Yeah.
JR's
sick.
first in the world in 44.
JR's fit, dude.
Wow.
Man.
JR's been
Last time I
fit.
checked, he might have got a penalty. Who knows? Well, we can spend the next 5 minutes just chit chatting. If you guys got anything, realistically, we didn't have a whole lot to talk about today, so I just want to talk about the Echo Bike and just razz everyone. So if you guys were with us this long, I appreciate it. But you should also look at watts and be more finite in your training. I get what Harley's saying, but And like even Marissa said it back here. She's like, this one. I think precision is just further down the line. You see what people look like right before they get off the bike. They ain't looking at shit. It's like,
Look
yeah.
at
it's true.
Marissa's last comment though.
Let's see. Next time Todd is on the bike and I'm going to ask him about his watts for sure. Dude, I was looking at my watts today. And
you knew this conversation was coming. That's why.
Oh my God. Watts is all that matters. Harley, you should be on my side with this because you ride a bike now.
I'm not on your side. I just don't.
No,
I think
I
you're
don't.
guilty of it too, is what I'm saying.
Oh, for sure. I didn't say I wasn't, but it now is a bigger pet peeve. And because of the conversation on Saturday with Nate, it like brought it to light of how much of a like dogmatic thought process it is in CrossFit, and a pet peeve of mine that it is. It also was a pet peeve too, like when everybody posted the rowing pace charts, like every training camp when 25.3 came out, it's like, okay, cool. Like you guys went on Concept 2 and recreated your own rowing pace chart, put it out like it's some magic thing. It's like you either are going to row or you're not. Like you're not. Like, so to Marissa's point, yeah, most people like at that point in time when you're getting tested, because even like the Saturday with the Echo Bike, we're going to get whatever calories we get realistically. And you're not going to look at the machine. You're just like 90% of the 5 minutes I have my head down. Like the first 2 minutes, Nate comes over and he looks at what I'm at. I'm like, great, go away now. Is like what I told him. And then the last half, 90 seconds, Jason's like, you're going to get me. You're going to get me. I can just hear him, but I have my eyes closed and I'm like ripping on the bike as best I can to just try and
You're
hang.
telling me you didn't look at anything the whole time? You just had your eyes closed the entire time?
Yeah, pretty much.
How are you supposed to know your watts if your eyes are closed?
So yeah, I like Tristan. Tristan's in the chat. Welcome, Tristan. That's all you could do. Literally row or not row. It is true. But
yeah. But you literally, Marissa said in there, like people don't even know what they're riding, that they're closing their eyes and they're just like doing what they're doing.
And I understand that. See, that's the thing is like I argue these things and I totally understand all of those things. But it's just like I do want people to sit back and like be more thoughtful about their training. Like I had 2 athletes today. I had to tell them that's not what that exercise is. So like this is where a lot of it comes from. It's like I'm arguing about RPM and watts, and then you got people doing the wrong exercise. Like, come on, you know. So like, just do me a solid. And look
it's
at
a normal
watts.
Wednesday. What do you mean?
Just do me a solid, okay? When it says wall facing handstand push-ups, you're doing wall facing, not strict handstand push-ups.
That wasn't me.
When it says floating clean pulls, you don't touch the bar to the ground.
You don't touch the bar. You just lift it with your mind.
Yeah, it's floating. You're like a Jedi out here. What's up, Tristan?
Yeah.
We should have had you call in. I know Tristan would get on board. Like he would be in Harley's camp, but also like, yeah, but Todd's right. Watts are important.
Do you guys remember It's Corn, the Corn Kid?
Yeah. It's
I
cool.
tried to reference that to Tristan, and it went right over his head, and then he never responded to me on Instagram. And so I followed up. I was like, did you not get that reference? He goes, no. So I sent him all my resources, cited the source, and like shared some videos of the Corn Kid interview and song. And then he proceeded to never respond again. And I think I lost a friend. So it's okay.
No, you just, he just had no idea. He says, dude, I had no idea. And that's what I mean. Like, see, you send them stuff about it's corn, and I'm complaining about watts and RPMs on a bike. It's the same thing, just different topic.
Do you want to know my joke that I told him? On the second row, I said, I was not corn. I did not have the juice. And then he just never responded.
Oh, man, that's good. If you know that song, that's good, dude. Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh.
See, I figured he just drew the line at Dungeons and Dragons, and then as soon as he saw the Corn Kid, he's like, yeah, this kid's a bigger nerd than I am.
And Nate, Todd told me to go away because he knew his full send wasn't going to beat my baby run walk effort. So I told him only babies do run walk, like you sprint hard and then you walk and then sprint hard. That's what he did. No, I told you to go away, dude, because I can't handle somebody yelling in my ear. It doesn't help me, and it like freaks me out. Just can't handle it. All right. I appreciate your support, but not for me, dude. Not for me.
He likes to suffer in silence.
I've told people, get the fuck away from me. Like, when I was just like dying, I'm like, just get
No,
the fuck.
you need to pull out the finger and be like, shh.
Yeah. I've waved Cody. I have a video of it from the Fitness the Coast qualifier. He's like, although to be fair, when you watch the video, he is way too close to me and I'm moving a barbell. And I'm like, when you look at the video, I'm like, come on, man. Like realistically, why were you that close? But I do wave. I'm like, go away. Like I just like push him away with my hand. I'm like, go away. Can't handle it.
What I was thinking about was whenever we were in your garage doing the 120 wall ball, 120 cal row, and I get on the rower and I think I was like 5 calories into the 120, and Nancy Myrano starts yelling at me to like cheering me on, and I turned to her and just went, shh. I was like, don't do that.
She did that to Marissa too when she was like 4 wall balls into that workout.
Yeah.
Like support is great, but just know like it's like Harley with the machines. Know the context.
It's time and place, dude.
Tyler
Time
like
and place.
brought it back around. You know what's crazy is we're gonna get off here and Harley's like, yeah, the watts do matter.
I'm not. Like they do. I've already said they do. So
We got Cody's crying, laughing
we're
'cause
not going back. We're not going back.
He knows the interaction. Yeah, Nate's right though. I didn't want him talking to me at all. I was like, get out of here. You just get out of here, dude. Yep. Marissa was about to do Karen Unbroken. Cheers on the 4th wall ball.
Go, mom.
Go. Hooray.
Exactly. See,
I know.
Tristan. T-Pain's got it, dude. He
Listen,
gets
hey,
it.
Tristan, we had a 45-minute argument about this already live. Okay. I do
Go
agree.
back, watch it.
It is easier to track when people are pitted. I agree. But that's not right. It's not correct. It's not correct.
It's a riveting cyclical conversation.
Thank you, though. He did say blah, blah, blah at the end.
Blah, blah, fuck. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's got
what's
it.
matter and more science, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. I rest my case. That's why Tristan and I are friends.
Sounds like Tristan and I are in the same camp, dude.
All right. Over under on us knowing the workouts for age group qualifiers next week or semifinals.
What do you mean over under?
Like you think they're going to release them on Monday?
Oh, no.
No, probably not.
I was hoping
Thursday.
they would. I was hoping they'd be like, hey guys, we're going to do you a solid.
I didn't know they were waiting till Monday to send out the registrations. I feel like that's
I feel
why
like
are they
that's common
waiting?
though.
Why are they waiting?
No, close the leaderboard. Who knows?
Well, they're not going to do invites, so the 200 is the 200
You mean
Right?
backfills?
or
Backfills.
backfills.
They'll leak Monday. We were going to talk about the leaks and a whole thing. I think the Echo Bike Watts was a lot safer than get me fired up about that stuff.
Oh, the Watts didn't get you fired up? Okay.
That's much more safe than the leaks. That's for sure. It's because it's a money grab. No, it's not. Actually, someone got upset that it's going to be $100 for the semifinals. Online
What do you think about 2 judges?
Oh man, here we go. So I think in theory, when you look at it and want to be more professional and as an affiliate owner, I think it's great. I think we should have that accountability. I more think that the affiliate owner should be the head judge, like all-time head judge. You're the affiliate owner, you are the head judge, you're the final say. And I think the floor judge can be any judge like they have it, and that should be the setup. And CrossFit should talk to the affiliate owner for all these in-affiliate semifinals. So if they have a discrepancy or somebody's video gets downvoted on CrossFit's site when people upload it, they go right to the affiliate owner. Then the affiliate owner maybe brings in the floor judge and they have a conversation that protects the athletes at all levels. It protects the affiliates and the affiliates' ability to do their job. It can create opportunity for people to be educated as judges, and then double accountability, because there's always going to be bias of any type and conflict of interest of any type. So having 2 judges can put pressure on people to make the right decision in the moment when their homie is doing reps. You know what I mean? So I like it a lot. I do know that it puts a lot of burden on affiliate owners, athletes trying to get, because the thing is, like, here we're gonna have almost 20 people come in and do this, and we're all set up, and we got a great team, and we're gonna make this happen. But I think more often than not, affiliates who have somebody doing this struggle to just get one judge, and their affiliate owners don't necessarily care about these people because it is the 1% to 2%, and it creates a whole problem that happens more commonly than what we're doing, because I think affiliate owners should have more responsibility, but because we've never given them that responsibility in the past and shown them, like, when I say we, I'm talking as CrossFit, like was it the Queen's we, or the King's we, or whatever it is, giving people the opportunity to be professional and live up to the games, the sport, who you are, and your position as an authority in the space. And since we haven't done that, it's now a huge burden on these people. So I love it. Although Tristan did say 3 judges, and that's because they have had 2 judges for teams in the past. Like, we had 2 judges for Harley and the team when they were out here, because certain workouts, like, they branch off and you got to judge them, and then they come back, which I like. 3 judges a lot, sucks. But I do like the fact that they're going to be able to, like, do 2 different things at one time. That's kind of cool. It's fun for the athletes.
I haven't done it yet, and I need to, because I have Linnell out here doing the age group semifinals. So I need to do the advanced judges course. How much was it, and how long is it?
$40. It took me a little under 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
But it's pretty simple. Like, you can get through it pretty fast. It's just
it's just like checking boxes and scrolling to the bottom and making sure you're hitting all of their, like, little required.
When they talk a lot about like if you were judging, like, in person more than, like, just an online competition.
Yeah. Which makes sense, because I think it's probably just a uniform or like a generic course for them to require of the in-person, judges as well. So it's just educating everyone. Yeah, I think just being in the boat where it's like we have one person at DTC doing age group semifinals. So it's like we're going to accommodate Linnell, and I have to make sure Chase gets his judges course, or if he's not willing to do it or can't do it, then I think I need to, get Robert Baker, who's the guy who's at, like, Athlete Control, who's a member here, and see if he can dedicate some time to be there. Because if we don't have someone else to do it, then it's like, that's going to be a challenge. But it's hard to create that drive. Like you said, if it's the top 1% to 2%, it's like the 1 to 2 people in the gym, then you're just like having to jump through all these hoops to support the minority and potentially risk, taking away from the majority, which I think is the biggest issue with competitors in most general affiliates anyways, is that we understand that most competitors aren't the masses. They're not paying majority of the bills, right? They're not bringing the majority of the revenue stream into. They can, but I'm just saying that they're, on average, they're not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like I said, the norm is what you're describing in affiliates.
For sure. Yeah.
And like Marissa is saying, is like spinning it and showing people the benefit of the athletes, which is true. Like, having 2 judges is good. Like, you might have a floor judge that's not calling any reps, and then it's on the video and it goes on the internet. That looks bad. And vice versa. You might have a floor judge that's just being a super judge, and then the head judge can come over and take care of both of those things. So, like, having that checks and balance is a benefit, but the problem is CrossFit hasn't explained that thoroughly to people. And we only know those things. Well, then you're in trouble. Then find new friends. I don't know. Go to a different affiliate.
I met me at semis last year at those overhead squats.
Yeah.
That was ruthless. So sad.
But yeah, I think, like you said, it does come back to the lack of understanding of, like, we do have a lot of, I like that they're shifting the quote unquote power back to affiliates and the coaches, because that's where it should be and should have always been. And because they pulled away from that, now people are kind of resistant to understand that.
Wait, Tristan. So they're taking teams straight to the games and they're not reviewing their videos?
He's talking about age groups. But yeah, because there's no, so the video review team, because we've had people on the video review team in the past who have done those video reviews, and they're not having a video review team because they were like paying those people and other stuff, and it's too time
No,
intensive.
I think he is saying team.
Right. So all video reviews are not happening. They're putting it out to the
Mm.
community. And if you're level 1
Yeah.
and you've taken your judges course and your advanced judges course, you can then upvote or downvote videos.
Yeah.
If you get a severe amount of upvotes and downvotes, I guess, they will then send it to CrossFit. That process sounds like that video goes to CrossFit. CrossFit looks at it. If there's something egregious, they then take it to the 2 judges. So it's almost the 2 judges thing is like a protection for the athletes. The problem is CrossFit explained that to us on an affiliate call, but did a very piss poor job explaining it to the rest of the world. And so now everyone has a problem with all of that. But yes, Judge Tristan's right. Like there's no video review process anymore other than the crowdsourcing video review where all of us who've taken the judges course can go in and click. But here's the thing, like people are worried that other people are going to be punitive or like whatever, but your CrossFit ID is connected to that upvote and downvote. And it says that you can't in your, I think it says in the regular judges course, it says in one of them, basically you can be banned from judging if you like behave incorrectly or you don't uphold the integrity of the sport and blah, blah, blah. So like if you're just running through the leaderboard and your CrossFit IDs connected to a bunch of downvotes, there's going to be some type of consequence for sure. Or there's not, because CrossFit's like, whatever, who cares? Yeah, no, see, people 100%. They will, but they will because they don't know that their CrossFit ID is connected to their vote. Because you have to be logged in to vote, like on the game site. Dude, I actually did downvote people through the open. There's some people out there. If you're listening to this and you think I don't like you and you move like doo-doo, I probably downvoted you. Sorry.
Not sorry.
Yeah, move better. I did watch some videos from the open though, Tristan. He said good, LOL. Yeah, he's out there watching videos too. I mean, if I have some free time or like something comes to my attention. What about those power cleans from Rich and Tia?
I don't know what you're talking about.
They're soft knees, extending their knees, bars popping off. Oh, look at that. Bars popping off their shoulder.
Whoa.
That's cool. See, you do no reps and you get fireworks.
No rep.
The bars popping off their shoulders before they're fully extended. Hiller did a video. I agree. I don't know if they should invalidate their scores, but I mean, I guess they should, right? Doesn't
You
really
should
matter.
uphold the standard. I mean, Rich isn't going to go compete, so it's like whatever.
Tia got an invite, and the only rule is that she had to do the open and log scores. So if they
there you go.
so they give her a score of 1 repetition and drops her off the leaderboard, she still goes to Torian Pro. So should have been heavier. Yeah, should have been heavier. They're too strong. That's what it is. They extend their knees so violently, hips and knees violently, that it just flies off their shoulders. They can't control it. It's just a byproduct of being the best.
Okay.
Anyways. Yeah, there's some videos out there like that. What's your feeling on that rule? Or like that? Because you've seen it, right? Where like it's on the shoulders and people, I guess, and they stand up and kind of dumps. Like I personally, I know it looks bad when you're looking at a sport, but personally I feel like, well, you did the work. Like you cleaned it, it's on the shoulders. I would even say like, even if you're like in a quarter squat and you have the bar in the front rack and the bar is sitting on the shoulders, I'm like, oh dude, you don't even gotta stand that up. You made it. Like fucking drop it. You know?
Yeah, I think as long as my biggest thing is as long as your elbows are slightly in front of the bar as your hips pass through hip extension, hips and knees, of course. Like, and if it then just pops off, like if it's going up and then off, great. Like, I think that you finish the rep, sure. Like, should you have to pause and stop upward momentum at the top of the clean? I don't. Like,
No, I think so.
I don't think so.
Personally, I know it would look bad, like if we like for the sport and the spectacle of the sport, and like other people who don't do CrossFit watching it, you have to have people stand to full extension because it looks cleaner versus like having their hip, flexed a little or their knees a little soft and then throwing the bar off their shoulders. But like for me, I feel like the most work is like bringing the bar from the floor, past the knees, past the hips to the shoulders. And once that's done, you know, and you're not in a squat.
Curious.
We're talking
All
about
right,
power.
question of this one. All right, Grace, you go power clean straight into your jerk. You don't ever finish your clean.
Oh, true.
Like what's the difference? You know what I mean? Like
No different, no.
it's not a ground overhead. I know that this movement standard is that it ends when you're locked out overhead and it
Right.
must pass through the front rack. But like at the same time, it's like it's not a ground to overhead by nomenclature, by like verbiage. It's
Yeah.
a clean and a jerk. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, so you should have to stop. That's something that we've argued
Or well,
in the past.
yeah, theoretically, if you're gonna make them stop on a power clean, you're gonna make them stop on a clean.
Yeah, you should have to stand to full extension, then re-dip.
Yeah, you should have to double dip the clean jerk.
Yeah. I do like the thruster jerks. I think or like split like a thruster to split jerk.
Yeah.
I feel like that should count as a thruster. It'd be sick because like the amount of weight that some people would move for like a thruster, and it looks cool sometimes. Like when you do like a thruster jerk, you know, when you're like coming out of the bottom and then you like re-dip under, it looks sick. I like it. It's not a rep though, but I like it.
It's
All
not
right.
a rep.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I was hoping we'd know more. Heather's got to compete. How does that make you feel?
Which part?
I don't know. Just like, you know, it's Wednesday and you're going to start this thing up in like 7 days and you're not even signed up yet.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten my registration yet, so who knows? It's fine. I'm still training. It's going to be what it's going to be. I don't know. I don't think I've ever been an athlete. It's like, what are the workouts? I mean, they're going to be whatever they're going to be. So,
All right. Harley, what are you looking at?
Jace gave me an update about his elbow. He went to a PT appointment, so I was just looking at what I'd written in. Coming like next couple days.
Oh boy, too many snatches at 225.
No, he actually hasn't even gotten into that progression yet because we were finishing the open and then he wanted a big deload week. And then in the last week of the open, essentially, he gave him a ring muscle up session, got a little irritated there. And then he did 25-3 twice. And now his elbow hurts. So we're just going to take it a couple days at a time, navigate, the next week of prioritizing getting back into some running volume because NCC is pretty consistent with having some outdoor running. So we're going to prioritize some squatting speed and running for the next week and then integrate more upper body work after that once he gets a little bit more confidence and stability through that shoulder and elbow. Yeah.
All right. I was doing some demos for some inverted gymnastics skills. I like hurt my elbow doing something stupid.
That's nice.
I feel fine now, but like it's crazy how like that type of it's like support, single arm support, weight shifting.
Yeah.
Can just like pop your elbow. Like so like him doing it, already having an issue and then doing the wall walks twice.
Yeah.
It's 50 wall walks. That's pretty good. It's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he said it wasn't a huge issue and like it was uncomfortable in the workout and stuff, but he didn't even mention it to me until this week after the workout. He was like, I thought it was just going to get better. And then it didn't. And I was like, okay. So
Those elbows, but
it is what it is.
strengthen the shoulders.
Yeah. I'm going to give him some side-lying shoulder trios,
Nice.
rotator cuff stuff.
All right. Well, cool. Tristan, you got anything else to say? You're in the comments there. Make sure you guys scan that QR code for Hydrate and Build 25/8. It's delicious. I'm serious. I'm not just.
It is pretty good.
There you go. See, it's the best electrolytes I've had next to like orange Gatorade. Who wants orange Gatorade, dude? That was a joke.
I mean, this has creatine in it, which is
True.
great.
Which is actually good because like CJ was at our house before Fizz of the Coast, and like every morning I'd do like creatine before we had this product, and I'd be putting creatine in with like electrolytes. And she's like, I always forget. I should just do it in the morning like you do because I always forget my creatine. And now with this product, it's got 2.5. So even if you forget, at least you got some in rather than none.
She's been drinking creatine and water, and I'm like, dude, you're a psychopath. She
That's
just
what I was
chugs.
doing.
No, like plain water, like not with electrolytes. No,
Oh,
like no
sometimes-
flavoring.
Sometimes I'll do that. Like I'm just like,
She
I
just
don't
like
want.
she puts it in like this much water, a full scoop of creatine, and just
Oh,
like
no. I do it more
down the
water.
hatch like sludge. And I'm just like, you're a savage.
I do more water than that. But yeah, I'm glad she's doing that because when she was at the house, she was like, "Oh, I should do that." I was like, yeah, it's good. All right, guys. Next week. Wait, hold on. We had a request for next week. Here we go. Next week, we're gonna move on to Todd's second hot topic of the week: TTT's take on the open and lack of strength training.
Lack of strength training,
Sorry.
sure.
Strength testing.
Testing. Oh no, that's fine. We don't need
Before-
strength testing.
Age group semis.
Oh, he
I
dry
feel like we'll have
scoops.
something. to
Jason
talk
dry
about.
scoops his creatine daily. Savage.
Dude, do you chew it up
I mean,
too?
it's not flavored. It doesn't
Do
taste
you
like
chew on it?
Probably.
It's like chalk.
Listen, he's trying to absorb it through the gums. Okay, there's a lot of capillaries there. He's just getting it right in the bloodstream.
That people do that with other white powder.
Yep, that's why I said it. I'm glad you're picking up what I'm putting down.
See, I'm not a big drug guy, so like I was like I had to think about it for a second, be like, oh yeah, drugs, and then everyone else is just like, oh yeah, that was back in college, you know, and I'm like, nope, don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd.
I actually didn't do a whole lot, like really any drugs at all. I just know about them.
Mm.
Crazy. And you can watch movies, you know. That's how you knew that people do that. I didn't even know what that does.
I mean,
Now we're off on something else.
Okay, let's change the subject.
Like, why do they do it? Like, is it like baking soda with your teeth, like brushing your teeth?
I saw a video of a guy at the Sphere in Vegas, and that the caption made it seem like he was on acid, but basically like the sky changed above him. It was like a big like special effects, and he just like falls back. He's just like laying back in his chair, just shocked. And I'm like, dude, he went to another dimension for sure.
Seek. All right.
That's all
What
I
else?
got.
Oh, Tyler's coming out. When are you coming out again, Tyler?
Thursday morning, I think.
Sweet. Cool. All right. Next week, we'll be able to talk about the age group online in affiliate semifinals. Age group in affiliate semifinals. Maybe we'll have some information. If we don't, we'll just talk about how you just need to be strong enough. Clearly.
Let's talk about it.
Except when you get to Mayhem and you got to snatch 225 or 155 a bunch of times. I can't wait to see it. Actually, you know what? Let's just end the call. I don't want to talk about it. Someone's going to get hurt again. I just don't want to see it. It's just not going to be good. All right. Well, Harley's trying to fix Jace's elbow. Jace,
Well, I had another client text, but
5 grams. He weighs 5 grams of his creatine. Dry scoops it. Just so you guys all know. Use the QR code every week. Hydrate and build.
bye.
Bye.